Steve and Linda, it's so nice to finally be able to meet you and talk to you in person. I've really enjoyed reading over your case, and it might surprise you, but I've actually had quite a bit of experience in the restaurant business myself. I started out as a waitress and worked myself up until I was helping to run actually a chain restaurant for a little while. I really enjoyed it, but there's so much that goes into owning a restaurant, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I'd be more than happy to help you and reveal to you all the different things that go into owning a restaurant of your own. First things first, I want to review some of the things that you've shared with me about what you're looking to do with the restaurant. I see that the restaurant that you're looking at purchasing can hold a capacity of 7 tables with 4 people at each table. That means you could have in your restaurant at one time 28 people. Now, in a week's worth of time, you could feed around 280 people. That's 14,000 people a year, which sounds like a whole lot, but once you break it down, it's really not that bad. That means that if you're serving and every person that comes in is eating at approximately $45 a plate, you're going to make approximately $630,000 in possible revenue. Now, of course, you have to take out your food costs, but that gives you a gross profit of $420,000 a year. Now, while that sounds like quite a lot of money, you have to take out all your expenses for salaries and equipment and rent and so on and so forth. Your expenses add up to $150,000 a year or $12,500 a month. That means that after all of the expenses are taken out of your revenue, you could be making a possible net profit of $270,000. Now, Steve, I know that previously you were making approximately $50,000 a year. If the restaurant goes as well as you all would hope, you could be making $220,000 more than you're currently making right now, which I'm sure you would enjoy. Now, some other things to look at is since there are so many expenses, you have to look at how many plates or how many meals you're going to have to sell in order to break even at the end of the year. In y'all's case, you would have to sell 5,000 meals in order to break even. And then from there, in order to make a profit of approximately $75,000, you would have to sell an additional 2,520 meals. So 7,520 meals in, you're making a profit, and you haven't even set all of your capacity. At that point, you would have only filled about half of your capacity. So if you double that, you're actually making a whole lot of money, and you're doing really good. But with that being said, there are some other things and major things that you need to consider before getting into a restaurant. While you would be making quite a great deal of money, there are a few other things that I wanted to ask you that weren't included in the facts that you provided with me. Some of the things were insurance. That's a big unknown because you have to cover insurance. You have to have insurance on the building. You have to have insurance on your employees in case there were an accident. You have to have insurance for liability in case there was an accident with one of the customers that came into your restaurant. I don't know if you all have thought about that or not, but that's just something that I've learned is a huge part and also a very expensive part whenever it comes to monthly and yearly expenses. Also, I didn't know if you had considered that while there is a possibility to make quite a large amount of money, you have to take into consideration that you're going from a stable income right now at $50,000 a year to an unstable income where you actually don't know what you're going to make. A lot of times restaurants don't make profits once they are just starting out or even in the first year because there are so many startup costs and things that are unforeseen that happen. And you know that unforeseen things are always going to find their way to happen and to occur, and it's just going to be crazy. Now also, one last thing, and this is just something that I've personally noticed over the years and have experienced, is whenever you're getting ready to open a restaurant, especially when it's just a small thing or just a couple or a family that are starting into something on their own for the first time, you have to consider how much time you have to put into this. A lot of times there's not adequate money to be able to pay a lot of people to come in and help run the business, which means that you all are going to be spending a great deal of time in the restaurant. Restaurant hours are so different from other places, considering that a lot of places are 8 to 5, whereas restaurants are oftentimes 11 to 11 or later. That means that you all have to be there way before the doors ever open and oftentimes way after the doors close at night. It makes for a very hard life, but if it's something that you love, it's well worth it. Now, if you all have any questions, please feel free to come back and ask me. I'll be more than happy to help you with anything. Thank you all so much for looking to me for advice. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.